In the autumn of 1888, the streets of London were already a difficult place to survive. Factories filled the air with smoke. Thousands of people lived in overcrowded housing. Poverty and crime were part of everyday life. But in one small district of the city, something far more terrifying began to unfold. Women were being murdered in the darkness. The killer moved silently through the narrow streets, striking without warning and disappearing before anyone could catch him. No one knew his name, but soon the entire world would know the name he gave himself: Jack the Ripper. The murders happened in Whitechapel, a poor district in the East End of London. At the time, Whitechapel was one of the most overcrowded places in the city. Thousands of people lived in tiny rooms. Jobs were scarce, and for many women, survival meant walking the streets at night. The darkness of Whitechapel provided the perfect cover for someone with terrible intentions. And in 1888, someone was watching. On August 31st, 1888, a woman named Marianne Nichols was found dead in a quiet street. She had been brutally murdered. At first, the police believed it was another tragic act of violence in a rough neighborhood. But something about the crime felt different, something unsettling. Within days, rumors began spreading through the streets of Whitechapel, and soon, those rumors would turn into fear. Only a week later, another body was discovered: Annie Chapman. Then another, Elizabeth Stride, and soon after, Catherine Eddowes. Each victim was murdered during the night. Each crime happened within the same small area, and each attack showed signs of the same mysterious killer. The streets of Whitechapel were now filled with panic. People whispered about a monster hiding in the darkness, a man who could appear and vanish like a ghost. As the fear grew, something strange happened. The police and newspapers received a letter. The writer claimed responsibility for the murders. At the bottom of the message, the author signed with a name: Jack the Ripper. No one knew if the letter was real or simply a cruel prank, but the name spread through newspapers across the world. And from that moment on, the killer had an identity, even if his real name was still unknown. The final and most horrifying murder happened in November 1888. The victim was Mary Jane Kelly. Unlike the other victims, she was killed inside her small room. When police entered the room, what they found shocked them deeply. It was the most disturbing crime scene of the entire investigation. After that night, the killings suddenly stopped. The murderer simply disappeared, as if he had never existed. Police launched a massive investigation. Hundreds of people were questioned: doctors, butchers, sailors, even members of the royal family were rumored to be suspects. But there was never enough evidence. No fingerprints, no clear witnesses, and no confession. The killer was never found. More than a century has passed since those terrifying nights in Whitechapel. Historians and investigators have proposed many suspects, but the identity of Jack the Ripper remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in criminal history. Who was he? A doctor? A butcher? Or simply a man who knew how to hide in the darkness? The truth may never be known. Somewhere in the crowded streets of Victorian London, a killer walked among thousands of people. He left behind fear, mystery, and questions that still remain unanswered today. Because sometimes, the most terrifying stories are not the ones we understand. They are the ones that remain unsolved. And in the case of Jack the Ripper, the truth may be buried forever.